Hello, I'm John Garlick, and I'm here with Dr. Jose Reyes, outgoing Calhoun County School Superintendent, heading over to Alexander City.
Yes, sir. Good to be here.
And glad to have you here. Thank you. I know your schedule's busy, winding things down and cranking things up, if you will.
Correct.
I've heard you speak in the past about academics, arts, and athletics. And I thought that was such a wonderful concept. Would you mind expounding on that for us?
Sure, absolutely. Anywhere we've been, we talk about the 3 A's, arts, academics, and athletics. And the reason we talk about that is because sometimes people will say that, well, academics is most important. Some will say athletics is most important. Some will say the arts are the most important. But in my mind, all 3 of them are as equally as important because each of our students fits into one of those categories in terms of who they want to become. And you can see students who might, through academics, be successful in life, some through athletics be successful in life, and some through arts will be successful in life. So while we've been here, what we wanted to do is focus on those 3 things and enhance each one of those. So briefly, just to give you an example, for example, in academics, and I put Career Tech in that academic piece.
Okay.
Some things that we've done out at the Career Tech Academy I think have been very beneficial for our students. For example, we have a partnership with Honda. We run a course with Honda so that when our students who are seniors finish the course at Honda, they actually can step in and begin working at $20+ an hour.
Wow.
So they go through the same training that an adult will go through prior to being hired. We do that while they're in high school. This summer, we're adding a second welding program with another instructor, again, because that's a way that students can make it somewhere to the next level, be employed, pay taxes, and things of that nature. What we've done in the arts, just a couple of examples, is at Alexandria and Weaver, the bands were over 100 members strong. Actually, Weaver's 150 strong. We had 1 teacher for that entire group of kids. So what we did was we invested in assistant band directors at both schools. That way the kids could get more than what they were in terms of one-on-one supervision, instruction, and I think the product at those 2 schools speaks for itself. 2 of the finest bands we have in the state of Alabama. I think athletically what we've done is made sure that we had the appropriate number of coaches at each school. We actually have a high school schedule now, I believe, that helps balance the academics, the arts, and the athletics. So our students in high school, grades 7 through 12, both boys and girls, we actually have a weight program going on during the day because we believe in order for us to be competitive, we've got to be bigger, stronger, and faster athletically. So just a couple quick examples, but again, not every kid fits into the same mold, and one of those 3 things are going to help that child get the things that he or she needs to take that next step after high school.
Is public education leaning toward, I hate to call it tracking, but I think that's what they were doing in Japan at one point.
Sure. Identifying
kids as they get into middle school and saying, all right, you have a skill set that leads you into one of those 3 triads.
Sure.
Is public education leaning toward that a little bit?
Well, I don't, and when people hear that word tracking, I don't think it's something that where the educators are saying, hey, this is what you should do. What it is it's actually getting the student and the parent involved and finding out what their interests are. You know, if you have a student who is very interested, for example, in welding, well, then we're not going to then tell them, hey, you'd probably be better in the band, and try to push you into that area. So what we're saying is it's not tracking, again, in that the educators are just making the decision saying you do this, you do that. What we're doing is it's more of a holistic approach where the educators, the parents, and the students, we seek out their interests because it's their interests that's going to keep them on that particular path. So
motivated.
Absolutely, that's kind of the thought process that we have.
That's exceptional, and of course the trades are a big thing now. We got to get manufacturing coming back into this country, so we need a skill set from our students, making them good citizens. Along those lines, making students good citizens.
Sure.
Where are we with civics and that and
Sure.
history being taught in public schools?
Sure. Well, we actually now, in order to graduate, you have to pass a civics exam. So no student can get a high school diploma without passing a civics exam. Obviously, we still do the things that all of us did, world history, U.S. history 1 and 2, and then in 12th grade, if you remember, it's government and economics.
Right.
But what we really have tried to do is involve also some character education, teaching people how to have those soft skills, because again, I think we would all agree that in the workforce, you know, it's great to have the knowledge of the job, but also with that, it's building relationships. How do you interact with other people? And those soft skills that, quite frankly, get someone a job and they keep it, or it doesn't get them the job, or they get it and might lose it. Again, soft skills are so very important. Character, showing up on time, yes ma'am, no ma'am, showing respect to authority, you know, those type things. We think we've done a pretty good job here in Calhoun County.
So, when I grew up, we had girls' schools and boys' schools. Some of them were private
Sure.
schools, and you know where I'm going with it. And I raised my 2 daughters, and at some point, my oldest daughter ended up in an English class that just happened to be all girls. And I knew the English teacher, and I asked her how that was going. She said, "Oh my gosh, I never knew these girls were so insightful." So, being a counselor and understanding our learning, playing to everybody's strengths, what is your thoughts on separating the genders in middle school up through high school?
Oh wow, I've never really been a big proponent of that. I think a lot of times it's really logistically not, we're not able to do that because of all the things that we have beyond just core classes. For example, then we would have to separate our family consumer science class, we'd have to separate our welding classes, we'd have to separate any elective class that we have, and I think it just logistically doesn't work.
Lots more resources.
Yeah, we'd have to have a lot more resources to do that, but I think it's good for us again to diversify, and again, in the real world, we have to deal with people that are different genders, male, female. We have people of different races that we deal with, and so I think it's good for us to be a melting pot throughout the school in order to be able to understand what the real world looks like.
Well, there you go. I've heard both debates in and out. Years ago in Calhoun County, we had out at Coldwater Elementary, we had a multi-age classroom concept. Have you ever worked within that environment?
I have not.
It sounded great. My kids' experience with that was not so great. It seemed to be they had K through 2 in one, and then 3 through 5
Sure.
in another, and they balanced the class with, you know, A students and special ed students. And
Sure.
the hope was that the higher level students would bring up, and the opposite happened.
Right.
In what I experienced.
Yeah.
So no
I
plans
think,
for that.
No,
anymore.
sir. I think here in Calhoun County, I think if you were to take a poll of the good red-blooded American high school males, they would be disappointed if they never got to see one of our lovely girls. So.
I'm sure that's true. That's very true. So, where are we with special education needs here in Calhoun County?
Well, I think throughout the state, special education needs are continuing to rise. Really, the biggest cost that we have, and we certainly want to assist all of the students that we have, but you know, we have units where we have students who have severe disabilities. Obviously, no fault of the student's own, just something that unfortunately has transpired, and so that cost quite a bit of money for us. And fortunately, here we have always put money into those programs. We have units to help those that are severely disabled, but then we also have quite a few folks that you see because of choices, and again, I have to be delicate here, choices that adults make that then affect their children, which then kind of makes it difficult for us in terms of man and woman power in order to help those. So the costs are continually rising, and the numbers of students that we have that fit those categories unfortunately rises as well. But that's everywhere. It's not just here in Calhoun County.
And special ed's an expensive operation.
It is very
for the schools.
expensive. Yes, sir.
We're going to take a break. We're going to have the weather, and then we'll be back here with Dr. Jose Reyes, outgoing school superintendent at Calhoun County Schools. Stay with us.
Good afternoon, viewers. This is Justin Bill with WEAC TV 24 here in Oxford, Alabama. For the rest of this afternoon, expect sunny skies with a high of 95 and a low of 70. For Saturday, expect partly cloudy skies with a high of 97 and a low of 73. For Sunday, Father's Day, expect partly cloudy skies with a high of 95 and a low of 74. And the return of the work week on Monday, you can expect mostly sunny skies with a high of 92 and a low of 69. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. And up next, today's Community Spotlight.
Hi, my name is Teresa Speichner. I am the SHIP, which is the State Health Insurance Program coordinator at East Alabama Regional Planning and Development Commission. I'm here to talk about a fraud summit that we have scheduled for June 25th at Chambers County, which will be at Lynette Senior Center. This event is for anybody who is either 60 and over, or 50 and over, who are disabled, or anybody that's 55 and older who are on Medicare, anybody who is a caregiver of anyone who that they're taking care of who are elderly, as well as people who actually work with that population. This is a free event. You just have to call in and register. There will be plenty of speakers from the Better Business Bureau, Alabama Securities Commission, as well as individuals from the banking community and law enforcement. We will be there to just educate the community on any kind of fraud that's going on, from Medicare fraud to banking fraud. So this is an awesome event. We welcome you to call in. Call the 256-237-6741, and you can actually speak to myself, Teresa, or you can speak with Ms. Cassandra Brown, and we will get you registered. So give us a call, come in, get all that free information, and knowledge is power. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. This is Roger. Friday, June 14th with WEAC TV 24, bringing your sports for today. Let's start out with the College Baseball World Series in Omaha. Everything gets going today. Bracket 1 today, North Carolina 47-14 on the season against Virginia 46-15. So we have two ACC schools matched up in that one. Then at 1 p.m. we have Tennessee with a 55-12 record against Florida State 47-15. That'll be at 6 p.m. And then on Saturday we have bracket 2, Kentucky SEC team 45-14 against the ACC school North Carolina State 38-21. That'll be at 1 p.m. And then Texas A&M out of the SEC 49-13 record against Florida out of the SEC at 34-28. Florida, one of the hotter teams right now. The record may not indicate that, but they've gotten really hot towards the end of the season. Kind of hard to call in this as far as looking at the records and all. Some really, really even teams, I think. So hard to make a call on this, and we'll keep you posted on that all next week. So great time of the year, College World Series going on. Something we don't mention a lot here, any Birmingham Stallion fans out there, they play in the UFL spring football, something kind of hard for us around here to get used to. But the Birmingham Stallions actually are trying to do something pretty crazy. The last American professional sports franchise to win 3 championships in a row was the LA Lakers in 2000 to 2002. They won 3 titles. The UFL's Birmingham Stallions could join them. They won the USFL titles in 2022 and 2023, and now they can take the UFL crown Sunday against the San Antonio Brahmas, a really good defensive team. They have Wade Phillips, a long-time defensive coordinator, as their head coach. Skip Holtz will lead the Birmingham Stallions in St. Louis is where that game will be played. looking forward to that. I don't get to watch that a lot. I've caught a little bit of it. There's some pretty good football, though. Check that out. Fox 6 will be carrying that game. Also, we've got the U.S. Open going on this weekend at Pinehurst. Golf started yesterday. Your leaderboard after one round, Patrick Cantley -5, Ludwig Ahlberg -4, Rory McIlroy -4, Matthew Pavon -3, Tony Finau -2. Some other notables: Bryson DeChambeau -2, Brooks Koepka come in at even, Xander Schauffele, Scotty Scheffler both at +1, Jordan Spieth +2, Tiger Woods +4. Had some terrible putting issues yesterday. Phil Mickelson at +9. So the cut line probably today will be around +3 or so. So Tiger and some of those other guys got a lot of work to do to even make the cut. So we'll keep you posted on the U.S. Open. The NBA Finals get back going tonight, Game 4 in Dallas. Boston looking to sweep away the Mavericks. Surely Dallas stops the bleeding tonight with a win and forces Game 5. We'll keep you posted on that. Saturday also, Game 4, the Stanley Cup hockey final for you hockey fans out there. The Florida Panthers are up 3-0 over the Edmonton Oilers in that series. What's up with all these big leads in these championships? We want close ones, but we'll keep you posted on the Stanley Cup also. Also, last but not least, the Atlanta Braves stopped their 5-game losing skid yesterday, so they end up salvaging one game out of the Baltimore series. They won 6-3. Real strong pitching performance by Ronaldo Lopez again. So nice to see the Braves get a win, even though it was a really tough road trip, but at least they'll get that win and head back to Atlanta at Truist Park to play the Tampa Bay Reyes this weekend. So be sure and check out my Braves report. It dropped on Facebook today. Be sure and check that out. And until next time, everyone have a great weekend. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.
And we're back with Dr. Jose Reyes, outgoing school superintendent of Calhoun County, on his way to Alexander City to be superintendent over there. Our school board race in March was pretty contentious. I was running for probate judge, so I was intimate with all of that. And it got a little noisy.
Yeah, I understand.
And the end result, of course, we have November's election coming up, and I think there's 2 or 3 Democrats running on the Democrat ticket.
Sure.
But most of the board members are on the Republican ticket.
Right.
And it seemed like the current board ran as a block, and then everybody else was against them. And at the end of the day, it looks like that board's going to be split between current board members and new members from the other side of this very contentious. So it feels like, as a citizen, we're setting ourselves up to have a very, very interesting board after November. They start in November, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So what can you tell us about that? What do you see as our future
Sure.
here with this incoming board?
Well, I think interesting is a good word to use, and John, it almost felt like I was running for office.
It did. I heard lots of things.
But obviously I was not. I think that for me, coming here over the last 2 years, what I can say about the current board and any board, just in general from a superintendent's perspective, what I found with the current board is that they were very supportive of me as the superintendent. So as a superintendent, you want to come in and you want to work with the board, work with your central office staff, principals and assistant principals, and everyone that's in your faculty and staff. You want to be able to work with them. But at the same time, when someone hires you to do a job, you want those individuals to allow you to do the job. And so this particular board, again, with me, they allowed us to do our job and me to do my job. And I think if you'll ask the administrators in the schools, if you ask the employees out there, they will say that things have been different over the last 2 years. Again, not just because of me, but because a group of people decided, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to work together. We're going to support our superintendent. And I think things have moved forward. So with things that will obviously change in November, whoever is in that change, my admonition to them would be to allow whoever the next superintendent is to do his or her job and to be supportive of that superintendent, because you know, when you don't have a chain of command, when you are not supportive of your leadership, that really causes chaos and confusion, and I certainly don't want that for any school system in the state of Alabama. Sometimes it happens. You know, you and I have been around the block long enough to see, not only in, you know, school board elections, but when we're talking about city councils, county commissions, or even in state government, sometimes we forget why we're there, and that is to work with each other. So again, I can't say enough about the board that we had. Hopefully that same attitude of working together and allowing that person who is the superintendent to do his or her job, if that will be what will transpire, I think we'll be in good shape.
So the school superintendent is an employee of the board.
Correct.
Okay, so the board hires that person.
That is correct.
What other authority does the board have? The superintendent, I imagine, runs the school system, much like a business.
Sure.
What authority, what falls back on the board?
Well, the three things that the board is supposed to do is hire the superintendent, hire the CSFO, and then policy.
What's the CSFO?
Chief School Financial
Chief,
Officer.
okay.
Yeah. But as far as actually hiring employees and things of that, and I think that's what people get confused about, is because, you know, for me, you know, me and my staff, we hire or we make a recommendation that's voted on. You know, again, I think everyone thinks that the school board's role is to hire everyone. Well, that's not, you know, I talked about chain of command.
Right.
You know, if we have an employee, a teacher, let's just say in Alexandria, let's say we need a math teacher. Well, the principal and his staff, they do the interviewing, they pick the person they feel that will be best for the job, and then they let us know, and then I will make that recommendation. Again, your superintendent doesn't have the time to go and interview every single person, so what you have to do is trust that your administrator is making the right decision, and then you make the recommendation to the board.
Sure.
So that's kind of, you know, how at least I've run things, is that, you know, I want my principals at the local sites to be able to make their recommendations, and then of course, you know, I would make recommendations more for central office staff, et cetera, and then of course I would make recommendations for our principals as well.
So when hiring people, you go through all that and you make a recommendation to the board, and then the board has to approve that recommendation.
They have to approve that, absolutely.
Do they, I guess they can say no? Can they say we want to interview other people?
Sure.
They can do all of that, right?
Well, they can either vote it up or vote it down. As far as actually getting involved in the hiring process, and I'm not saying that that has never happened in the state of Alabama, but the correct,
it probably has.
the correct way to do it, John, is to allow the superintendent and those under him or her to be able to do their jobs. And again, if we will always go back, you know, to think about, you know, why are we doing the things that we do, and that should be for the betterment of the schools. You know, I think that school systems would be better off in the long run if they'll just keep in focus what they're really there for.
Now, you've been with other school systems. In Calhoun County, our board members are all at large.
Yes.
It's not districted. Have you
Correct.
been to a system that's districted?
Well, I have, and it's fascinating how we do it here in Calhoun County. Mm-hmm. And I think that, and again, I have no authority to do any of this, but if you ask my opinion, I think it is interesting that we have 7 communities, but it's an at-large election.
I've always felt that we should district here.
Yeah, so it's interesting to me, but even more interesting than that is that it's all at one time. Most places you'll find is if they have a 5 or 7 member board, they will be staggered, because I think what happens is so many times when we get involved in something and we get on to whatever it is, whether it be a job, a commission, a committee, you know, we really don't know what we don't know. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is if you would do a staggered piece to that, you would never have people on a board or a commission or a council that did not have any experience doing the actual work. And again, not saying that anyone that comes on is, you know, not a very intelligent person, you know, but I think it would be tough if your county commission, if all 5 changed at one time. I think it would be tough if your Oxford City Council all changed at one time. And so the same thing on a board. I think a rotating piece would be best.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. It would be nice to have representation and then rotation. And
yes, sir.
That'd be very good. Now, here's an interesting question for you.
Right.
Now, Dr. Eric Mackey is state superintendent of schools, right?
He is.
Now, I knew him when he was, we're in Jacksonville, and superintendent up there, and of course I knew his wife, Robin. Now, he's going to retire one day.
Sure.
And you're a rising star here in Alabama, and I'm thinking that maybe you might have your eyes on that prize, so to speak. What, care to comment?
Well, I mean, I guess, you know, and you kind of caught me off guard there. with
I
that
thought
one.
I would.
You know, I guess you never say never. I mean, but let me first say that Dr. Eric Mackey has done a great job for the state of Alabama. I think the best thing about Dr. Mackey is that he never gets too high, he never gets too low. He's just very even keeled, and he understands that it's about people and about relationships. So I think if you asked the majority, I'm talking about the overwhelming majority of the 140 plus superintendents in the state, that they would give Dr. Mackey just rave reviews for how he's handled things. And he actually took a situation that wasn't really great, and he calmed the waters.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's brilliant.
He
I'm not
is.
saying he's not brilliant. I'm saying one day he's going to retire.
Well, one day he will retire. I would say again, I think that, you know, I would again never say never, because I thought I would finish here in Calhoun County. But an opportunity came up in my hometown, and what we call home, and we had to take that. So I certainly, you know, again, would never say never, but if I did something like that, I would want to be a lot like Dr. Mackey, a lot like Dr. Tommy Bice, who was there previous to that. There was a gentleman in between, but I think, again, Dr. Bice and Dr. Mackey, who they are as people, how they handle situations, and how they handle people, I would certainly want to model myself after those two gentlemen.
Now, as a parting shot, great leaders always have contention. There's always people that think, oh, they're a great leader, and then there are always critics.
Absolutely.
So this is your parting shot to your critics.
Sure.
And you have them, because all
Yes,
great leaders do.
we do.
What would you like to say to your critics in the last minute or so that we have left?
Wow. You know, I think that, and I tell my administrative staff this, the longer you're in a position, the less people or the more people that will not like you. Okay, and the reason is because you have to make decisions. Every time you make a decision, that gives someone an opportunity to not like you. So for those, you know, folks here that are listening in Calhoun County, I hope what they would know is that the decisions that we've made have been what we felt were the best for our school system. And it was also done with collaboration amongst my central office staff and principals. I think if you would ask the administration at the school, would Dr. Reyes listen? Would he compromise? Would he do those things? And they would say absolutely, that he was a team player. So, you know, the decisions we made were for the betterment of the school system after consulting numerous other people inside of my team. So, you know, I hate if there's anybody that doesn't like me, but that's okay. I can live with it, and we've just done the very best that we can. And certainly if there's anybody out there in Calhoun County that I've had any interaction with, if there's anything I can do for anybody in the future, John, I've told them, hey, you give me a call, you know my number, and I'll do the very best I can to help this county moving forward.
Dr. Jose Reyes, rising star in the Alabama education system. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again next time.